What's up, my people? How you doing today? I hope you're doing good. This is Dalton, and I'm coming straight at you today. And recently, I had some events happen in my life that I want to address an issue, and I want to talk to you about the N word. Yeah, okay. First of all, I come to a level in my life and an age in which I am no longer going to be going by a script to make someone else feel happy. Okay? I'm not going to be going by a script, make sure I fit myself like a robot into a puzzle of someone else's life to make them happy. And knowing that it does not make me happy. And definitely not going to be going by a script that someone else creates because of their lack of self esteem, however they try to rationalize it, to make them happy. Now, I admit, I'm not perfect. And I've used the N word in the past. And out of anger, I may slip and use it in the future. But I will consciously do my best not to. Now, I remember when I lived in Texas, I would walk by some young Latin kids, high school kids, that I heard them talking before I walked by them, and they wasn't using the N word. But when I walked by them, they made sure they loudly used the N word. Okay, especially in groups, as if it was okay. Evidence have shown. You look at incident at Popeyes, incidents that happen all over on the news, and some unreported incidents of violence that happen that the N word, no matter how much a person try to rationalize it, brings up anger, hurt, and pain. And it's supposed to. If you look at the history of it, part of what happened is that slaves were brought over, men and women. And when I say slaves, most people just think I'm talking about black and African. That was the majority. But when the slaves came over and they tried to escape for freedom, there were many small groups of white people that tried to help them. And if they got caught, they were then put into slavery. A lot of people don't know that. It's the truth. And there was different forms of slavery that they were put in. Some of it was servitude, where they had to work for free under a master until their punishment and debt was paid off. Now, the slaves were brought over. Make this quick. They were whipped, tortured, and beaten, and forced to take a name that was not theirs. That was one level of breaking them. And this was the men and women whipped, hung, almost to death, and then released once they accepted a name that was not theirs. Then, after accepting and being humiliated and accepting a name that was not theirs, they were then called the N word to make it even worse. So they were forced to accept the name that wasn't theirs, and then they were pushed down and made to call N word. Now, I want you to understand racism isn't a race, it's not a color, it's an energy. And what I mean by that is, I used to dance at a club, but I also helped out security. And what we would do if we saw an incident, something illegal or something bad or fight or whatever happening in a particular area, kind of give a certain signal and kind of let the security know. They had their own signal. We all had a signal. Let the security know something's about to go down in this particular area, and we would do that. The reason for that is because anger and people fighting, it's an energy. And if you don't nip it in the bud, it just hits go to the next person and the next person and the next person. People in security, bouncers, they're educated on that fact. That's why they have to stop it before it spreads. Okay. Same thing with racism. It has a lot of different colors. And what people usually do, they try to use some form of rationalization to cover it up. But this energy just spreads. Like love, like anger, like hate, any other energy, it spreads. At some point, you need to nip it in the bud. And I want you to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down if this resonates with you. I want you to share this video. But also, I want you to give me comments and let me know, why do you think someone has to use the N word to feel down to earth? My assumption is a lack of self-esteem, and they have to fill that hole. Because you shouldn't have to use any other name to call someone anything except for the name they were given or allow you to say, such as a nickname like Dave, Johnny, Edward, Tyrone, Lopez. Get what I'm saying? Now, most people are going to see this video, and their first rebuttal is, well, he's a house N. The house N word was used for slaves that worked in the house, the master's house. And as the grass always looked green on the other side, which is not true. Many people thought that the house N word had it better than the field, and which is a lie. It's slavery is slavery. And matter of fact, the men and women that worked in the house were often raped, beaten, and whipped, just like anybody on the outside. A lot of times you didn't see it because they were forced to wear these fancy clothes because they were representing the master. Okay, and so sometimes the slave that works in the house got it worse than the slave that got in the field. It's not as easy to run for freedom if you're working in a house than if you're working in the field. Now, once that slave what's called the N word, if they rebutted that, what they would do, they would then castrate the male slaves. Many people thought Frederick Douglass, a freed slave that escaped to freedom, was gay because his voice was very high. But the fact is that he escaped for freedom once, got caught, and they castrated him. Not all slaves that got castrated survived the process. And they didn't just stop at castrating. Once they castrated the slaves, if that slave was trying to help other slaves to run for freedom, then they started cutting off body parts, chopping off the foot, etc. And for the women, they would take the pregnant women slaves, hang them up on a tree, and cut them open and let the baby fall out. And they would leave them there for days to put fear into the women so that they would be subservient, and they would put the hurt into the black man so he would be subservient. So anyway, anytime he was called the N word, he would run up and say, "Yes, sir." And many people don't understand that slavery, even slavery today, but slavery was a business. And then there were many books written on how to run that business, even how to torture a slave in front of other slaves to make them fall in line. All right. Now, no longer, as I stated, will I be falling in the script to satisfy someone else. That's not going to happen. Matter of fact, I recently canceled a vacation that I was going down to have with some friends because I knew that they're going to be using the N word, getting drunk. And even if the person says they're not going to use it, trust me, once alcohol or any other substance hit that person's body, they're going to go and do whatever they want to do. And to me, I didn't want to be around that environment. Too old for that. I'm grown. I'm not a kid. Now, I want, as I said, I wanted to comment your opinion, why you feel a person need to actually say that. A non-black or African person need to say that to feel down to earth, to feel that they are okay with that black race. Okay? Why is the need? Because to me, I think it's a lack of self-esteem. Because if you said something to them, even if they're okay with that word, but you said something to them that they didn't like, they would call you disrespectful. Such as if they're a Christian fanatic, not just Christian, but Christian fanatic, and you keep telling them that they're gay, you're probably gonna have a fight. But they'll expect you not to say that and to respect them. But they then expect you to fall in the script and accept whatever they say. Okay. Same thing if you would have told them, of course, they believe Jesus Christ was a black man with an afro. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying if you tell them that and you put that, you see them get huffed up. Face get red, back get tense, ready to fight. Why? When you said something I didn't like, then don't you supposed to suck it up and if I say and deliberately keep saying something that you don't like? The only, as what Malcolm X once stated, the only reason a person cusses, and like I said, I'm not perfect. I've cussed before. I've even used the N word. May make a mistake in the future and use it. But the only reason a person cusses is because they do not have the intellect to find the proper words to replace that. Only reason a person says the N word because they do not have the intellect to express themselves in a proper manner. But I also believe in something Malcolm X once stated. I don't believe everything he stated, but I do believe one thing. He stated, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And those who do not feel that's what's good for the goose is good for the gander, feel they're above you in some way and you're beneath them. And if they feel that you're beneath them, they don't see you as equal, and they may not even see you as a human. They just see you as an asset. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up, and I'll ask you to subscribe. All right, give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Either way, you're cool with me, and I'll rap to you later. Peace.